This is a Mr. Joseph Reis, or he goes by Joe Reis. Let's learn a little bit about Joe. He is a recovering data scientist who's worked in a variety of data roles: analytics, machine learning, engineering, architecture, and more. And since the early 2000s. So Joe is the co-founder and CEO of Ternary Data, a data engineering slash architecture consulting firm with a global client and partner base, and he teaches data at the University of Utah. He is also the co-founder of the Utah Data Engineering Meetup and SLC Python, the home of some popular podcasts, the Monday Morning Data Chat, the Data Nerd Herd, the Let's Talk Data Engineering. He's also a blogger, a speaker at global data conferences, and co-author of The Fundamentals of Data Engineering, which I guess is coming out from O'Reilly in 2022. I'm going to go ahead and bring Joe up on our virtual stage here. Joe, welcome to the DATAcated Expo.
Hello, everybody. How's it going? So I'm going to keep this pretty informal, actually. I don't have any slides, and that's on purpose. So I'm going to ask the audience out there in the comments. We're going to talk about ETL and ELT. So if you can write, if you've heard of ETL, write ETL. If you've heard of ELT, write that. If you've heard of both, write both. And if you've heard of neither, write neither. So I just want to kind of get a consensus of who's heard of what. So anyway, let's dive into it. We got a few minutes. Let's go. We're going to describe ELT and ETL. These are two different paradigms you're going to use when you're loading data into a data warehouse. And so why do we care? Well, as I like to say, data transformations are where you start getting the ROI out of your data. Raw data, loading into a data warehouse, that's kind of useful, but then you have to query it and join it to tables. At that point, you're sort of doing a transformation. And so, again, when you transform data, whether you're querying it or transforming that in sort of a process into a new type of data, that's when you start getting real insights from your data. What do we mean, though, by ETL, ELT? Let's get into this real quick. So ETL is a traditional way of getting data into a data warehouse. This is when you have a source and a destination, and you're going to bring data in to the source. But along the way, you're going to transform the data from the source into a form that you can land into this destination here. So this is, let me give you a bit of a history lesson too. So this is traditionally how things have been done. Back in the 80s and 90s when data warehousing was taken off, computers were slow, hardware was very expensive. And so you didn't have a lot of resources to simultaneously like load data, transform it in the same data warehouse. And so you typically had to basically extract the data from a source system, transform it into a shape that would be useful, then land it into that destination, which is your data warehouse. So what changed? Why do we have these weird acronyms? Why do we switch these letters around? Well, around the late 2000s, early 2010s, cloud computing came about, right? Cloud computing changed a lot of things. As I'm sure that you know, what it meant is you had cheap commodity hardware that you could rent in the cloud. So data warehouse systems, they used to cost millions of dollars, and you used to have to store these things in a server rack at your company and in a data center and so forth. And sort of what happened is the cloud flipped that on its head, where now you can just rent out a data warehouse for like 25 cents an hour. And so Redshift on AWS is the first one to do this in 2012. And what happened with this is Amazon said, well, we'll just let you rent out a data warehouse for super cheap, cost you dollars per day. This fundamentally changed things as well, because what happens in the cloud is you have infinite storage and basically limitless compute depending on your budget. And so now the constraints of having to extract data, transform it, and load it into a system sort of go away when you're in the cloud. Now you have the capability of just running all your transformations within the cloud data warehouse itself and bypassing the ETL mechanism. So along comes ELT. So what is this? Well, you have your source and your destinations here, and now you're going to take data from your source, land it in your destination, and then you're going to do your transformations in your destination. this is a fundamental rethink of how transformations in data warehousing and data architectures have worked. And so again, ETL is when you're going to extract, transform on route, and then land it to your destination. ELT, you're just going to take the data out of your source, load it into your destination, and do your transforms there. So which one is right for you? That's a good question. I would say if you're resource constrained, if you have to use on-prem and you have expensive hardware, ETL is probably a good solution for you. If you're using legacy tools like an Informatica or SSIS or something, again, ETL is probably a good use case for you, or that's probably how you're gonna have to do things. But I'd say if you're in the cloud, I don't know that there's really a reason to do ETL anymore. ELT is a cheaper, more effective option. Just land your data, do what you need with it. Storage is very cheap. And so there's some great tools for this. Every cloud has its own way of transforming data. You could use Glue on AWS, Dataflow on GCP, Data Factory in Azure, and so forth. There's a variety of open source tools you can get to as well for ELT. Like I said, for most modern use cases, I don't see a need to do ETL anymore. Just do ELT. And also, I think that there's some things you got to watch out for with ELT. When you're loading your data into your destination system, you want to make sure that you're keeping track of this data. The thing I see often is you become a data swamp, so to speak, right? You can't manage your data. It accumulates. All this raw data has nowhere to go. And pretty soon you have an untenable mess on your hands. So just make sure you're keeping track of those assets in your data warehouse, in your staging area. On top of that, you might hear some buzzwords. Reverse ETL is that's coming on the scene. I see a comment here. Robert says BLT. I actually have this in my notes too. And it's a term I would like to actually use to replace reverse ETL. Reverse ETL is basically when you take the data out of your data warehouse and you load it back into a transactional system that it came from, right? So think of loading your data out of, taking your data out of your data warehouse and loading it back into Salesforce. Say you did a customer scoring model or something, right? And you want your salespeople to have that data. Reverse ETL is how you do it. I actually have more of an acronym, like a BLT, so bidirectional load and transform. So a bit tongue in cheek, but I think it more accurately actually describes what you're trying to do with reverse ETL. So anyway, to recap, no shortage of buzzwords, acronyms. You got ETL, ELT, reverse ETL, BLTs now. So with that, I hope that this was informative for you, and I hope you have fun in your transformation journey. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joe. You've opened up a big can of worms with this ETL versus ELT. We have flooded the chat with a lot of ELT, ETL, lots of people saying both. Somebody said they like turtles. I mean, I don't know. People are getting very creative. A few questions for you. First, I have a question around your book. When can people expect to be able to buy that book?
To buy it next year. So next year. Yeah, Merry Christmas. But actually, on that note, we have early release chapters coming out in O'Reilly as soon as next week. So stay tuned on that. So the book is the Fundamentals of Data Engineering, and it covers ETL, ELT, BLTs, and so forth. So and a lot more, obviously. So.
Okay, awesome. Drupad has a question. In your intro, I said that you are a recovering data scientist, and the question is why makes it sound like data science is a drug. Please explain.
Yeah, I smoked a lot of data science back in the day, and I just had to take a break. No, I mean, when I got into data science, I got into machine learning back in like the late 2000s, early 2010s, and the things I had seen really was, early on trying to do machine learning in production. It's really hard. Right. Yeah. Everything I saw that was a machine learning question ended up becoming an engineering question at the end of the day. And so I ended up doing, data engineering. Wasn't even called that back then. I don't think data science really called it. Machine learning engineering at a very early time. I just realized without building a foundation for data and data science, all you're doing is just basically making toy programs in a Jupyter notebook, and that's about it. So it's a tongue-in-cheek thing. I think it was a group of data scientists you probably know of. We kind of gave each other this joking moniker called recovering data scientists or reformed data scientists, and it just stuck. So
awesome. Thank you. Question here from Ruben. if your destination does not have the capability to transform the way you need it, you have to ETL instead of ELT. Which one?
Yeah, most likely. I mean, I'm guessing that if your destination doesn't have the power to do the
Mhm.
transformations, then yeah, you'll probably need to do ETL.
Okay. We had a sort of personal question come up here from Grace. Are you also a DJ? Because
Yeah.
you notice the turntables in the back.
Oh, you should see my. This isn't even a fraction of it, but yeah, I've been a DJ since like the late '90s, early 2000s. So club DJ. So.
All right, and we'll take one last question here from George Firikin. He's asking, which one do you prefer, ETL, ELT, or BTL?
I like buffets, so all the above.
All of the above. Okay, awesome. I guess, I mean, it just whenever.
Whatever. I think it's all
Depends,
situation
right?
dependent. Yeah, I think that there's what I notice is there's a lot of like religious wars that go on with this kind of stuff, and I would say just pick the right approach for the right tool and the right job. So.
Awesome. All right. Well, Joe, thank you so much for joining us here today, guys. Go check out the 10,000 podcasts that Joe is hosting. And what's the best way to reach you, Joe?
Yeah, just reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can find me. Just type in my name, Joe Reis, or Joe Reis, as you say. So you can also find me at ternarydata.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Also on YouTube at Ternary Data. So smash the like button, subscribe, become a fan. So.
Awesome. All right. Well, Joe,
Thanks.
thank you so much